I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Nermeen Sheikh. Welcome to our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world. As the climate crisis intensifies across the globe, we begin today's show looking at the targeting and killing of environmental defenders. A new report by Global Witness finds at least 196 environmental defenders were killed last year. The deadliest nation for environmentalists and activists was Colombia, where at least 79 people were killed, most of them indigenous, Afro-Colombians and farmers. Brazil had the second highest death toll at 25. Honduras had the most killings per capita. Meanwhile, in Asia, the Philippines is the most dangerous country for defenders. Global Witness found that about half of all Earth defenders killed in 2023 were indigenous peoples or Afro-descendants.
One high-profile case featured in the report involves the forced disappearance of the Mexican indigenous leader Antonio Diaz Valencia and the lawyer Ricardo Lagunas, who disappeared in January of 2023 after an anti-mining community meeting. Relatives of the men believe the transnational mining company Ternium was behind their abduction and possible murder. Antonio Diaz Valencia's grandson spoke to Global Witness.
It's scary and frustrating that they don't know. It's like Mexico swallowed them. That's how I put it. They just vanished. My papa has been a social activist his entire life. He's an activist for the rights of the indigenous people, specifically the Nahua people, to whom we belong. He is a person who is very, very loved and known throughout the region for the work he has done. He has basically given his entire life to his region. It's what he loves the most.
They claim that they need to remove some of the land, some of the vegetation, certain streams, to continue exploiting the terrain.
That was the voice of Mexican indigenous leader Antonio Diaz Valencia, who was forcibly disappeared in January of last year after attending an anti-mining meeting. The new Global Witness report also condemns the police killing of the environmental activist Manuel Esteban Terán, known as Tortuguita, during a raid on a Stop Cop City encampment in Atlanta, Georgia. Tortuguita, who is 26 years old, was shot 57 times by police bullets while peacefully protesting the multi-million-dollar police training complex. No officers have been charged in Tortuguita's killing. We're joined now by Laura Furones, lead author of the new Global Witness report, Missing Voices, the Violent Erasure of Land and Environmental Defenders. She is senior advisor to the Land and Environmental Defenders campaign at Global Witness. She's joining us from Madrid, Spain. Laura, welcome to Democracy Now! Why don't you lay out your findings as wildfires torch the planet, as people are dealing with massive floods and hurricanes? Talk about those who are resisting climate change and what's happening to them.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I think you've laid it out really well in the introduction. Unfortunately, 2023 was yet another appalling year for those who want to protect their lands and their environment. And we recorded the killing of 196 people globally, with stark differences between regions. But this speaks very clearly to the fact that everyone's really talking more and more, and rightly so, about the climate crisis globally. But the climate crisis is also very intrinsically linked to a human rights crisis. We're seeing the levels of violence that you were just describing before being more and more prevalent around the world. And we really fear that this will intensify as the consequences of the climate crisis become more apparent.
So, Laura, could you explain, first of all, why you think this violence against environmental defenders is increasing, and also why Colombia has once again topped the list for the number of environmental defenders killed?
Well, violence is unfortunately not seemingly going anywhere, and I think that really is linked to the fact that the climate crisis isn't going anywhere. So we've got all these people who are really at the front line of this defence, really trying to protect natural resources that many others want to extract, or trying to protect the lands that others want to devote to sort of large agricultural projects. You know, the demand of commodities is growing around the world as well. So all of that, I think, combined makes for a very dangerous sort of circumstances that defenders have to work under. And as you say, in the case of Colombia, this is particularly tragic because year in and year out, this is one of the countries where we record the largest number of murders. You know, Colombia tops the ranks in 2023. It also did the same in 2022. And if we look back at all of the historical data that Global Witness has gathered ever since we started recording cases in 2012, then you still see Colombia coming up as number one.